Hello everyone, I Prerna Dwivedi welcome you all to the SWAYAM online course on basic principles of energy management and energy audit. In today's lecture, we will study the basics of project and project development cycle. The term project is a broad and widely used concept that can have different meanings depending on the context. In general, a project is a planned and organized effort to achieve specific goal within a defined time frame and with allocated resources. Projects are commonly undertaken to create unique products, services or outcomes that bring about change or deliver a particular result. Here are some key characteristics of a project. Defined objective. A project has a clear and specific objective or goal that needs to be achieved. This goal could be anything from building a new software application to organizing an event or constructing a bridge. Temporary. Projects have a definite start and end date, meaning they are temporary endeavors with a fixed duration. Once the project's objective is accomplished, it is considered complete. Unique. Projects are typically one-of-a-kind endeavors. Even if they have similarities to previous projects, each project has its distinct characteristics and requirements. Resources. Projects require resources such as time, money, manpower, equipment and materials to be completed successfully. These resources are often allocated and managed carefully to ensure project success. Planning and execution. Projects involve careful planning, outlining the task, setting deadlines and determining the necessary resources. Once planned, the project is executed, meaning the tasks are carried out to achieve the desired goal. Risk management. Projects often encounter uncertainties and risks. Effective project management includes identifying potential risks and implementing strategies to mitigate them. Collaboration. Projects often require teamwork and collaboration among various stakeholders, departments or individuals to pool their skills and expertise to achieve the project's objective. Monitoring and control. Throughout the project's life cycle, progress is monitored and adjustments are made as needed to keep the project on track and ensure it meets its objectives. Defined scope. Projects have a well-defined scope that outlines the boundaries of what is included and excluded from the project's work. Scope defines the limits of project's activity. Project development cycle. Now, before understanding the project planning techniques, it is important to understand the project development cycle. The project development cycle, also known as project life cycle, refers to the stages that a project goes through from its initiation to its completion. This cycle helps guide project managers and teams in planning, executing, monitoring and controlling projects. It comprises of 6 stages. The one is project identification and screening. Next is technical design, followed by financing, contracting, implementation and performance monitoring. Project identification involves recognizing and defining a specific need or opportunity for improvement, usually related to project goals. The goal of project identification is to create a preliminary proposal for the best possible set of interventions and course of action within a predetermined time and financial parameter to achieve a given development goal. This is the initial step where potential projects are identified and defined in broad terms. Project screening. on the other hand, is the process of carefully investigating and evaluating information found in an investment project. It assesses and analyzes these identified projects to determine their feasibility, potential benefits, risks, and alignment with strategic objectives. The screening process helps in selecting the most promising projects that warrant further consideration and resources, while setting aside those that might not be suitable or beneficial. Together, project identification and screening ensure that resources are directed toward projects are well aligned with goals and have potential to deliver positive outcomes. Here is an overview of project identification process within project development cycle. Idea generation. Ideas for potential projects can come from various sources, including employees, customer, stakeholders, market trends, technological advancements, and internal discussions. These ideas may address a specific problem, capitalize on an opportunity, or improve existing processes. Screening and preliminary analysis. Project screening is a systematic process used to evaluate and filter potential project ideas or proposal in order to identify those that are most viable and aligned with an organization's goal, resources, and strategic priorities. The goal of project screening is to weed out projects that are unlikely to succeed or do not align with organization's objectives, thereby focusing resources on projects with the highest potential for success and value creation. In this step, the initial ideas are screened to determine if they are viable and aligned with the organization's goal. Preliminary analysis involves assessing factors like feasibility, potential benefits, resource requirement, and risks. Ideas that don't meet basic criteria are eliminated at this stage. Feasibility. Feasibility study. For the ideas that pass the preliminary analysis, a more in-depth feasibility study is conducted. This study assesses technical, operational, financial, economic, and environmental factors to determine whether the project is feasible and worth pursuing. Stakeholder involvement. Engaging stakeholders, including key decision makers, potential beneficiaries, and experts, is essential during this phase. Their input and feedback help refine the project ideas and ensure alignment with stakeholder expectations. Business case development. A detailed business case is developed for the selected project ideas. The business case outlines the project's goal, scope, objectives, expected benefits, cost, risk, and potential return on investment. It helps decision maker to evaluate the project's strategic fit and feasibility. Project selection. Based on business cases, projects are prioritized and selected for further development. The selection process considers factors such as alignment with organizational strategy, potential benefit, resource availability, and risk factor. Approval and authorization. Once the projects are selected, they undergo a formal approval process. Senior management and stakeholders review the business cases and provide authorization to proceed with project planning and execution. Project charter. A project charter is created for each approved project. The charter outlines the project's high-level objectives, scope, stakeholder, resources, and initial timeline. It serves as a reference document for project planning and execution. Project initiation. The project initiation phase marks the transition from project identification to project planning. Detailed planning activities begin, including defining project objectives, creating a detailed project plan, assembling the project team, and establishing project governance. Documentation. Throughout the project identification phase, documentation is crucial. This includes records of idea generation, preliminary analysis, feasibility studies, business cases, stakeholder engagement, and project selection criteria. These documents provide a foundation for decision making and project development. By systematically identifying and evaluating potential projects, organization can make informed decision about which project to pursue and allocate their resources effectively to projects that align with their strategic objectives and have potential to deliver value. Technical design. Technical design is a crucial phase in the project development cycle, occurring after requirements gathering and analysis stage but before the actual development begins. It involves creating a detailed plan and blueprint for how the project will be implemented from a technical perspective. The goal is to design a robust, efficient, and scalable solution that meets the project's requirements and aligns with the overall project goals. To make sure a project is worth investing in, the person proposing the project needs to show a well prepared study that identifies the following aspects: the way products, technology, materials are obtained and used. It includes whether they are found nearby, brought from far away, and how reliable it is to get them. Any unique technical challenges and the skills needed to handle them, like setting up, assembling different parts, and making sure everything is connected properly so that the thing can function correctly. Taking care or making sure that it stays in a good condition and works well over time. Fixing or repairing if not working properly. Early plans are like the first ideas for a project. They have pictures of the main tools we need and details about how they should be made. We also know the name of the company that will make them and how to reach them, and we guess how much everything might cost. It's like planning everything out before we start. Plan for how the organization and management will handle the implementation, including the schedule, the people needed, training for staff, the engineering of the project, and other practical matters. Here are the key aspects of technical design. Planning the structure. We design the project structure. It's like dividing the work into smaller pieces so that each part can be built separately and then put together. Choosing tools and technology. We decide which tools and technologies are best for the project. It's like picking the right tools for the job, just like a carpenter chooses the right tools to build furniture. Creating a prototype. Sometimes we build a small version of the project first to see how it works and make improvements before building the final version. Making everything fit. We ensure that all different parts of project work well together, just like how all the pieces of puzzle fit together to create a complete picture. Testing and fixing problems. Before the final version, we test the project thoroughly to find and fix any problems or error. It's like checking if all the buttons in a remote control work correctly. Documenting the design. Finally, we write down everything about the project so that others can understand how it is to be built and how to use it. The financing step is essential because without adequate funding, a project may not be able to progress or achieve its objectives. Understanding how to plan and manage finances ensures that projects can be executed successfully and within the available resources. This stage includes identifying project costs. First, we figure out how much money is needed to complete the project. This includes expenses such as materials, equipment, labor, and any other cost required for the project. Creating a budget. Once we know the project's cost, we create a budget. A budget is like spending plan that outlines how much money we need and how it will be allocated to different parts of the project. Exploring funding sources. Next, we look for the ways to get the money we need. There are various funding sources such as self-funding, using our own money or saving to finance the project. External funding, seeking financial support from outside sources such as loans, grants, investors or donations. Financial analysis, we assess the financial feasibility of the project by comparing the expected cost with the potential benefits or returns. This helps us determine if the project is financially viable and worth pursuing. Applying for funding. If we need external funding, we prepare and submit funding applications to relevant organizations or institutions. These applications explain our project, its objectives, and how the funds will be used. Negotiating and securing funds. If our funding application is successful, we may need to negotiate terms and conditions with the funding provider. Once the terms are agreed upon, the funds are secured for the project. Managing finances. Throughout the project, we carefully manage the finances to ensure that money is spent wisely and according to the budget. This includes keeping track of expenses, making payments, and controlling costs. Financial reporting. We create reports to keep stakeholders informed about the project's financial status. These reports help to monitor the project's financial health and demonstrate accountability to funders and other stakeholders. Contingency planning. It is also essential to have a backup plan in case of unexpected expenses or changes in the project scope. We set aside some extra funds as contingency to handle unforeseen situations. Next stage is contracting. As a significant portion of project is usually carried out using contracts, effective contract management plays a crucial role in ensuring project success. In this regard, the following considerations are important. The project team should have the freedom to transfer contracts to other parties in advance, especially when delays are expected. Ensuring the competence and capability of all contractors is crucial, as a single vulnerable point can disrupt the contract's timely execution. Contractors and suppliers need to be encouraged to adopt appropriate discipline by requiring them to create practical and thorough resource and time plans that align with the project's plan. Contractors and suppliers should receive assistance when they face real problems. We should see them as teammates working together towards a common goal. Implementation. The implementation phase is crucial stage in the project development cycle. where the plans and strategies formulated during the earlier stages are put into action. This phase involves executing the project activities, managing resources, and addressing any challenges that arise. Here are the key aspects and activities that typically take place during the implementation phase. Project execution. During the implementation phase, the project team begins executing the project activities as outlined in the project plan. This involves carrying out tasks, processes, and procedures to create the project deliverables. Resource management. Effective resource management is vital in this phase. The project manager allocates resources such as human resources, equipment, materials, and funds to various project activities to ensure smooth execution. Task coordination. Tasks are coordinated and assigned to specific team members or departments. Clear communication and collaboration among team members are essential to ensure that everyone understands their role and responsibilities. Monitoring and control. Project managers and stakeholders closely monitor the progress of the project to ensure that it is on track and meeting its objectives. This includes tracking milestones, timelines, and budgets, and making adjustments as needed. Risk management. Throughout the implementation phase, the project team identifies and manages potential risks that could impact the project's success. Strategies are put in place to mitigate the risk and prevent them from derailing the project. Quality assurance. Quality assurance processes are implemented to ensure that the project deliverables meet the required standards and specifications. Regular quality checks and audits may be performed to maintain the desired level of quality. Change management. In some cases, changes to the project scope, requirements, or plan may be necessary during implementation. Change management processes are used to assess the impact of changes, obtain approvals, and manage modifications to the project. Stakeholder engagement. Stakeholders are kept informed of the project's progress and involved as needed. Open communication with stakeholders help manage expectations and gain support for the project. Documentation. Throughout the implementation phase, documentation is essential to record project progress, decisions, changes, and any issues that arise. Proper documentation provides a historical record and helps in post collaboration and problem solving skills from project team. It is the stage where the project plan transforms into real results, and successful implementation sets the foundation for project success and achievement of objectives. Performance monitoring. This phase involves the systematic tracking, assessment, and analysis of project performance to ensure that it stays on track and meets its objectives. The key focus of this phase is regularly looking at the results, comparing them to what was expected, and figuring out if any improvements are needed. Performance monitoring helps make sure the project is being carried out effectively and efficiently. Here are the main aspects and activities involved in project performance monitoring phase. Setting standards. First, you decide what you want to achieve with your project. Just like planning your project, you set clear standards for what you want to accomplish. Measuring progress. As you work on your presentation, you keep track of how much you have done. It's like marking off the parts you have finished. Comparing. You compare what's happening with what you planned. If your project is not on track, it's like noticing your plant is not growing as it should. Identifying issues. If the plant looks unhealthy, you figure out what's wrong. Maybe it needs more water or sunlight. Similarly, if your project is not going well, you find out what is causing the problem. Making adjustments. You take action to fix the plant's issue, like giving it more water. For the project, you make changes to get things back on track. Keeping everyone informed. Just as you would tell others about your plant's progress, you share updates with your project team. This way, everyone knows how the project is doing. Celebrating success. When your plant blooms, you feel proud. Similarly, when your project meets its goal, you celebrate the achievement. Continuous monitoring. Just like you keep checking your plant's health, you regularly monitor the project until it gets completed. Project review phase. The project review phase, also known as project evaluation or post-project evaluation phase. It is the final stage of project development cycle. It occurs after the project implementation is complete and the project deliverables have been achieved or handled over to the client. The primary purpose of the project review phase is to assess the overall success of the project, identify lessons learned, and gathering insights to improve future project performance. So, in today's lecture, we learned about the basic concept of project and project development cycle. In next class, we will be covering project planning techniques in detail. Thank you for your patience and happy learning.